This is the Buffett Mindset channel where we practice patience and calm wealth building daily. If you enjoy these types of videos, consider liking and subscribing. This will mean a lot to the channel. Listen to me very carefully, for what I am about to share with you will mark the dividing line between the life you have been living and the life you are destined to live. For 25 years, I studied the minds of men who built fortunes, men who carried themselves with courage when the world was on fire, men who refused to live as slaves to fear or drift. And I'll tell you plain, the difference between those who rise and those who sink often comes down to the words they speak to themselves at sunrise. You see, most folks roll out of bed and start the day speaking defeat before they've even had breakfast. They mutter things like, "I'm tired. I'm unlucky. I'll never get ahead." And just like a horse that hears the reins snap tight, their mind obeys. They spend the day limping, dragging, half believing the story they fed themselves before the coffee even cooled. But the ones who rise, the Buffetts, the Carnegies, the men who leave legacies behind, they start their days with a different tongue. They speak power, not weakness. They declare who they are before the world gets a chance to tell them otherwise. They use words like a farmer uses seed, planting them deep each morning so the harvest comes sure in due time. And I want you to do the same. For the next 30 mornings, I want you to rise with the rain, sit quiet for a spell and speak these phrases aloud. Don't whisper them, don't mutter them, say them with the kind of fire that lights a man's chest when he knows his life depends on it. Because truth is, it does. Here they are, 13 phrases to say every dawn. I am in control of my time, and I choose where it goes. Time is the coin of your life, and you alone decide how to spend it. Let no boss, no distraction, no fear spend it for you. I create value wherever I walk. This ain't about money alone. It's about being the kind of man whose presence leaves others better, whose work solves problems, whose word carries weight. I finish what I start. Excuses don't build barns, and they sure don't build wealth. A man is measured not by his intentions, but by his completions. I guard my mind like treasure. Junk in, junk out. The man who feeds his thoughts with garbage should not be surprised when his life smells the same. Choose your inputs like a rancher chooses clean water. I walk steady in storms. Markets crash, storms roll in, life kicks hard. But you ain't a leaf blowing in the wind. You're the oak that stands when others snap. I earn before I spend, Buffett way. Never buy trinkets with borrowed coins. Build the foundation before you paint the walls. I see fear and I ride through it. Fear is a mirage. It looks solid from a distance, but it vanishes the moment a man charges straight at it. I am a student every day. The wisest men keep the beginner mind. Books, conversations, mistakes. Every sunrise brings a lesson. I value silence as much as words. Most men talk themselves out of wisdom. Hold your tongue, listen twice, and when you speak, make it count. I build for decades, not for days. That Buffett law of compounding. Plant trees you may never sit under, and you'll find shade when you need it most. I own my choices. No blame, no scapegoats. If you fail, it on you. If you rise, it because of you. Owning the trail is the only way to ride it free. I am wealthy in spirit before wealthy in coin. Money without character is sand in a leaky bucket. Build the man first, then build the fortune. I was born for this. Not for drifting, not for waiting, not for hiding. You were born to work, to build, to create, to leave behind proof that you live with purpose. Now, friend, saying these words once won't change a thing, but saying them daily, with conviction, with belief, with the kind of focus that burns like a campfire in the dark that will rewire your very bones, that's the secret most men miss. Your subconscious don't know the difference between truth and lie. It only knows repetition. Feed it weakness, it grows weakness. Feed it power, it grows power. And after 30 days, you'll find that these phrases ain't just things you say, they're things you live. Buffett himself built his life not on speed, but on steady principles repeated day after day, year after year. That what gave him endurance when the world panicked. That what gave him calm when markets screamed. And that what give you strength when life comes knocking with its fists. So tomorrow morning, when the rain tapping the glass and the dawn feels cold, don't roll over and drift. Rise up, speak fire into your chest. Claim your day before the world does. Because every morning you do, you're drawing the line deeper in the dirt. The line between the man you were and the man you're meant to be. Say these 13 phrases, partner. Say them like your future depends on it, because it does. Now, it ain't enough to just hear those 13 phrases and nod along. A man can't get strong watching someone else lift the iron, and you sure can't get rich watching someone else make the trade. You gotta work these words into your marrow, let them seep into the cracks of your habits until they shape the way you live. Break them down one by one and see how they play out under the firelight of real life. The first, I am in control of my time and I choose where it goes. Most men spend their days letting others pull the strings. Their boss says jump, they jump. Their phone buzzes, they obey. Their worries bark and they chase after them like stray dogs. But Warren knew the truth. Time is the coin you can't mint again. He kept his calendar near empty, refusing to let folks waste his days with trivial nonsense. He chose his time like a rancher rationing scarce water in a drought. You do the same, and you'll find life ain't half as chaotic as it looks. Second, I create value wherever I walk. Now hear this, money don't chase talk, it chases value. Buffett built wealth because every deal he touched made others richer too. He solved problems, grew companies, built trust. If you walk through life leaving no footprints, folks won't remember you. But if you plant value with every step, the world will leave trails leading back to your door. Third, I finish what I start. You ever notice how graveyards are filled with half-written books, half-built barns, half-lived dreams? The difference between a drifter and a builder is completion. Buffett don't swing at every pitch, but when he does, he sees it through. You adopt that creed, you'll stop carrying the weight of unfinished work that drains your soul. Fourth, I guard my mind like treasure. Your thoughts are the herd, and you're the rancher. Let wolves in, and you'll lose them quick. That's what happens when you feed your head garbage, distractions, gossip, endless noise. Buffett read 6 hours a day. Books, reports, histories, good inputs. He guarded his mind, and that's why he could see what others couldn't. Your mind is your gold mine. Protect it. Fifth, I walk steady in storms. The market crashes of 73, 87, 2008, they sent men running, hollering like cattle spooked by thunder. But Buffett, he stood calm, steady, buying when others panicked. Storms reveal character, partner. If you can walk steady while others stumble, opportunity opens wide. Tell yourself this every morning, so when the lightning cracks, you're already braced. Sixth, I earn before I spend. Simple words, but ignored by millions. Folks spend future money before it earned, trading tomorrow freedom for today trinkets. Buffett bought his first stock at 11, and he didn't sell it for candy or clothes. He let it work for him. Debt enslaves, but earning before spending frees. Say this phrase, and let it steer your wallet clean. Seventh, I see fear, and I ride through it. Fear, a bandit that robs more dreams than failure ever will. Most men let it tie their hands, but the truth, fear shrinks when you face it. Like a shadow at dawn, it vanishes under the light of action. Buffett made billion-dollar moves when others froze, not because he lacked fear, but because he rode through it. If you want freedom, saddle up and ride straight at what scares you. Eighth, I am a student every day. The day a man thinks he knows it all, he starts dying. Buffett still reads, still learns, still admits he don't know everything. That's why he stays sharp while younger men go dull. Every day a classroom, partner, if you show up ready to learn. Ninth, I value silence as much as words. Noise is cheap, silence is wealth. You don't have to answer every fool. You don't have to fill every gap with chatter. Buffett once said, you can't make a good deal with a bad person. He learned that by watching, listening, letting silence reveal truth. Quiet ain't weakness, it's strategy. 10th, I build for decades, not for days. Here where the compounding magic lives. Most folks want riches by Friday. Buffett thought in decades, not days. That's why his fortune grew like a mighty oak while gamblers came and went. Say it daily so you remember. You're in this for the long haul. Let patience do its work. 11th, I own my choices. A man who blames the wind for his broken fence never learns to mend it. Owning your choices is taking responsibility for every win and every wound. Buffett didn't point fingers when he lost money. He owned it, learned, and moved on. That's why he grew. You do the same, and you'll find strength most men never taste. 12th, I am wealthy in spirit before wealthy in coin. Now this one, the bedrock. There are rich men whose souls are bankrupt, and poor men whose hearts are overflowing. True wealth ain't just dollars, it's peace, purpose, integrity. Build that first, and the money will follow in its time. And finally, I was born for this. Say it with your chest. Not timid, not half-hearted. Every morning, remind yourself you were born with strength enough for the road ahead. Buffett wasn't born rich, he was born determined. And determination can carve rivers through stone. Now listen close, each phrase is a seed. One seed don't make a harvest, but planting them daily, watering them with belief and action. That's where the miracle lives. 30 days from now, these words will shape the way you walk. 90 days from now, they'll shape the way others see you. A year from now, they'll shape your destiny. So when the rain falling and the fire low, repeat them again. Let your voice echo across the night. And when doubt whispers, remember, you ain't speaking fairy tales. You're speaking commands to your own soul. That's how lives are changed, not by one grand moment, but by daily declarations that rewire a man from the inside out. What you've just heard ain't superstition, and it sure ain't idle talk. The blueprint. But a blueprint don't build a barn unless a man swings the hammer. So let's take those 13 phrases and stretch them across 30 days, like fence posts guiding you steady down a long, dusty road. Week 1. Lay in the ground. The first week is about awareness, pure and simple. Every morning before the rooster crows, sit yourself down quiet-like. Speak each phrase aloud, not muttered under your breath, but strong enough to hear it echo back off the walls. At first, your tongue will stumble. Your mind will laugh at the strangeness. That's natural. But by the end of 7 days, those words start to sound less foreign, like boots breaking in on a long ride. Take special care with the first phrase. I am in control of my time and I choose where it goes. This week, notice where your time leaks away. Do you drift into idle gossip? Scroll endless screens? Waste an hour here, an hour there? Mark it down in a notebook. Don't judge, just track. Control begins with awareness. Week 2, planting value. Now that you're speaking the words, it's time to live one of them. This week, focus on, I create value wherever I walk. Don't think big, think practical. If you're on the job, ask yourself, how can I make this task easier for the next man? If you're at home, how can I leave the place better than I found it? Buffett didn't start out buying billion-dollar companies. He started selling bottles of Coke door to door, making pennies but creating smiles. Value compounds, but only if you plant it daily. 7 days of this and you'll notice something mighty strange. Folks begin to look at you different. Respect starts creeping in, quiet-like. Week 3, strengthen the storm. Now we saddle up to the harder phrases. Pick I walk steady in storms. This week, don't run from small discomforts. If it rains, walk without an umbrella. If the day throws you a snag, breathe and hold steady. Life's storms start small, like calves testing the fence. You practice steadiness with the small ones, and when the big thunder rolls, you're ready. Remember Buffett in 2008? Folks crying, markets crashing, but he rode calm, buying when fear was highest. You can practice that same spirit in daily trials. Week 4, owning your choices. The final stretch is responsibility. This week, repeat, I own my choices. Don't blame traffic for being late, leave earlier. Don't blame your boss for not promoting you, sharpen your skill. Don't blame your kin for not understanding you, walk your path anyway. Responsibility is the rope that ties all other virtues together. You claim it daily, and suddenly your life don't feel like something happening to you, but something happening through you. And when the 30 days close, you ain't the same man. Your tongue been trained to speak new truths. Your eyes see wasteful time clearer. Your spine straightens in storms. Your heart beats stronger with ownership. Now hear the kicker. 30 days is just the start. Like a ranch hand riding fence lines, when you finish one circuit, you don't retire your horse. You ride it again, stronger, quicker, sharper. Each round deepens the groove in your soul until these words aren't just recited, they're lived. Picture this. Day 1, you speak. I finish what I start while leaving your dishes undone. Day 60, you can't close your eyes till the last plate washed, the last note written, the last promise kept. That's the power of repetition. It rebrands your very identity. And don't think this is only about dollars in your pocket. Buffett became rich because he became disciplined. His money was a shadow of his habits. If you repeat these 13 each sunrise and live them each sunset, the same shadow will follow you. Maybe it wealth, maybe it respect, maybe it peace, but it'll be something the world can't take. One last story before this fire burns low. There was a farmer in Nebraska who walked his fields every morning whispering to himself, I was born for this. His neighbors laughed, called him odd, but come harvest, his corn stood taller, his cattle fatter, his barns stronger. Not because the words were magic, but because the man who believes he was born for a task will sweat harder, plan smarter, and persist longer. 30 years later, his family was free while his neighbors were still laboring for wages. So I tell you, partner, these 13 phrases ain't entertainment. They're your morning drill, your saddle and spur, your compass on the trail. You speak them daily, and you'll see 30 days from now, you won't recognize the man staring back in the mirror. That's the promise, and that's the challenge. Now lean in close, because this here is where most men fall off the saddle. They do the 30 days, they feel the change stirring inside, and then they stop. Like a fellow who plants corn, sees the sprout break soil and then quits watering, thinking the job done. That's why so many drift back into old habits. They treated the 30 days like a sprint, not the open range. You see, Buffett didn't build his fortune with one trade, one lucky streak, or one season of discipline. He built it like a rancher builds a herd, day after day, feeding, protecting, growing, letting the calves turn into cattle. Compounding is not magic, it's stubbornness married to time. So hear the truth. Those 13 phrases ain't just for 30 days, they're for life. But let's talk about what happens when you keep riding past that first month, through the years ahead. After 90 days, identity set in stone. At 3 months, something remarkable happens. The phrases stop feeling like borrowed clothes and start fitting like a second skin. You don't just say, I walk steady in storms. You find yourself facing an angry boss, a lost deal, a sick child. And instead of panic, calm settles over you. Your breath steadies, your shoulders square. Why? Because your mind don't need to remember it been reprogrammed. Buffett himself says chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. At 90 days, you forge chains of iron, habits so strong they drag you forward even when you'd rather quit. After 1 year, reputation shifts. Now here's the part most men underestimate. Live this way for a full year, and the world begins to notice. Not because you're boasting, but because people can't help but see it. You're on time, you keep your word, you don't spook in storms, you finish what you start. In a world full of weak handshakes and broken promises, that makes you rare, and rarity is valuable. Think of Buffett in his early partnership days. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't promising quick riches, but year after year his investors saw steady hands, calm judgment, and discipline. That reputation became his moat. People trusted him with their money, their futures, their very peace of mind. You keep speaking these words and living them, and you'll find folks handing you responsibilities, opportunities, and resources because you stand different from the crowd. After 5 years, wealth and legacy take root. 5 years may feel long, but it passes quicker than a prairie storm. If you stay true, hear what you'll see. Your bank account grows steady because you've been saying, I earn before I spend and live in it. Your skills sharpen because every day you declared, I am a student. Your family trusts you because you've owned your choices and built decade-long foundations. Now hear the kicker. Wealth at this stage ain't just coins in your pocket. It's freedom. The freedom to walk away from bad deals, bad jobs, bad people. The freedom to choose your path instead of letting it be chosen for you. That's why Buffett, even when offered billions in quick deals, could turn them down without flinching. He wasn't desperate, he was free. And freedom, partner, is wealth no thief can steal. After a decade, a life rebranded, 10 years of speaking and living these phrases, and you'll hardly recognize the man in the mirror. Not because your face is smoother or your hair thicker, time will take those things, sure as the sun sets. But because your eyes will carry certainty, your voice will carry weight, your days will carry purpose. By then, the young bucks will come sitting at your campfire, asking how'd you do it. And you'll smile, stirring the coals, remembering the mornings when you muttered words that felt silly, foolish, even impossible. And you'll tell them plain, I spoke the truth to myself until I became the man who lived it. That the legacy Buffett leaves, not just wealth, but wisdom, the kind that ripples long after a man's bones are dust, and it can be yours too if you walk this trail daily. But hear the caution, friend. The world will tempt you to quit, to trade patience for speed, compounding for gambling, principle for flash. They'll call you slow, old-fashioned, stubborn, and maybe you are. But remember, oak trees are slow, gold veins are hidden deep. Rivers carve canyons not in days but in centuries. Slow and steady builds what nothing else can. So if you take nothing else from this talk, take this. Speak the phrases daily, live them nightly. Don't stop at 30 days, don't stop at 90. Keep riding until the habit's stronger than you, until your life itself is proof that words spoken at sunrise can reshape a destiny by sunset. One day, years from now, you'll wake to the rain tapping the glass, whisper those 13 truths, and realize you're living the life you once thought was a dream. And you'll know deep down, you weren't lucky, you weren't chosen, you were disciplined. And discipline compounded over time looks a whole lot like destiny. There's an old story about a rancher who lived through 3 droughts and 2 floods. Folks around him sold their land, gave up, drifted off to the city looking for easier trails. But but not him. Each morning, rain or shine, he saddled his horse, rode the perimeter, spoke to himself words only the wind could hear. I was born for this. I walk steady in storms. I finish what I start. The neighbors called him stubborn, his kin called him crazy, but the land respected him, the cattle respected him, and when the clouds finally broke and the rain came back to the dust, his ranch stood ready. Fences held, barns stood, cattle grazed, and when others returned, broken and beaten, they came to him for work, for guidance, for survival. That rancher didn't survive because he was smarter or luckier. He survived because his mind was branded with truths, and his actions never strayed from M. That, my friend, is the power of daily words lived out through discipline. Now listen close, because this is where your story meets his. You've been handed 13 phrases forged from Buffett way, polished by years of wisdom, carried now into your own mouth. But they won't mean a thing if they just sit in your head like dust on a shelf. You've got to speak him, live him, repeat him. And yes, it'll feel foolish at first. Your friends may laugh. Your own doubts may whisper, this is silly. This won't change anything. But ask yourself, what's sillier? Repeating words of strength each morning? Or living the same tired life year after year, growing older but not wiser, working harder but not freer, ending up at 65 with nothing but calloused hands and empty pockets? Buffett's genius wasn't that he knew numbers better than others. It was that he trained himself to think differently, consistently, and patiently. He said no when others said yes. He held when others sold. He stayed calm when others panicked. That kind of mindset don't come by chance. It comes by deliberate practice, and that practice starts with the tongue at every sunrise. So hear the call, partner. For the next 30 days, rise with the rain or the rooster. Sit quiet. Speak the 13 truths. Do it daily without missing a sunrise. And when the days get long and you feel like skipping, remember the rancher, remember Buffett, remember every man who chose the harder trail and found gold at the end of it. Then, when 30 days turn into 90, when 90 turns into a year, you'll wake up one morning and realize something mighty strange. You ain't fighting to believe the words anymore. You are the words. The man who once said, I walk steady in storms, now does. The man who once said, I own my choices, now takes responsibility with a quiet grin. The man who once said, I was born for this, now lives each day as proof. And when that day comes, others will gather round your fire. They'll ask what changed, what your secret, and you'll lean back watching the sparks climb into the night sky and say, there ain't no secret. I just spoke the truth every morning till it became the man I am. That's the gift Buffett left behind. Not just wealth, not just investments, but a way of seeing, a way of living steady, speaking discipline, planting patience, reaping freedom. And now that gift is yours if you've got the grit to carry it. So here we are at the edge of the firelight, the rain falling gentle on the roof, the trail stretching wide before you. What you do next decides the kind of man you'll be. Drift and you'll return to the old ways. Discipline and you'll ride into a future where fear don't hold the reins anymore. The choice is yours, partner. Speak the words, live the words, and watch your life change one dawn at a time. Because destiny ain't handed out like scraps at a saloon table. Destiny is carved day after day with the edge of discipline sharpened by repetition. And the man who speaks with conviction each morning will one day stand tall, not as a dreamer, but as the proof that dreams lived daily become reality. Now go on. Tomorrow's sunrise is waiting. Now let me tell you something else most folks don't realize. These words you speak each morning, they ain't magic spells. They won't drop gold into your pockets overnight. They ain't wishing dust scattered across the wind. They're far stronger than that. They're tools, they're ropes, they're spurs for a tired horse. They grab hold of your wild mind and train it to ride straight, not wandering in circles like a spooked Mustang. See, the average man wakes up each day and lets his thoughts run feral. He thinks about bills, troubles, arguments, regrets, and before breakfast he already lost the day. But not you, not if you start with these 13 truths. By speaking him, you hitch your mind to a wagon headed in one direction. No matter the storm, no matter the noise, you've set the trail. And that trail leads away from fear, away from wasted years toward freedom. Warren Buffett didn't become who he is by chance. He was no wizard, no prophet born with a silver spoon. He was a man who learned early that discipline outlasts talent, and clarity of thought outshines the flash of luck. And discipline starts with words, plain, steady words. Words that set your feet in motion even when your heart feels heavy. Imagine it like this. A blacksmith forges iron by heating and hammering, repeating the same strike 1,000 times. To the untrained eye, it looks boring, foolish even. But in the end, that steel blade can split stone. That's what you're doing with your mind. Every morning, by speaking those phrases, you're heating and hammering, shaping your thoughts until they cut through fear like a hot knife through butter. And hear the truth few will tell you. It ain't about saying the words once and walking away. It's about repeat, repeat, repeat. Just like compound interest, the value don't show on day 1 or even day 30. But stack enough mornings together, and the man you see in the mirror will be sharper, calmer, richer in spirit, maybe even richer in pocket too. Now let me give you another picture. There's a creek I once rode past, shallow and dry most of the year. Didn't look like much. Dusty bed, cracked stones, barely a trickle. But come spring, snowmelt poured down the mountain and that trickle grew teeth. It carved deeper with each season, changing the very land it passed through. That creek didn't roar like a waterfall, it just stayed steady, year after year. And in time it reshaped valleys. That you with these morning words. You might not feel the change today or tomorrow, but stay steady and in time you'll carve out a life unrecognizable to the one you once lived. Now let be plain, you'll be tempted to quit. Some mornings you'll be tired, beaten by yesterday's failures. Some mornings you'll say the words but not feel them like ashes in your mouth. That when you must remind yourself, why? Feelings are fickle, discipline is forever. The man who waits to feel motivated will die waiting. The man who acts without asking permission from his feelings, that man wins. Buffett once said, the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. If you don't shape your habits now, they'll shape you. And the habits most folks carry are chains. Chains of doubt, chains of debt, chains of fear. But by speaking words of strength each sunrise, you're forging new chains, chains of courage, chains of patience, chains of discipline. And one day you'll look down and realize those chains don't bind you. They hold you steady as you climb higher. Think about it. The men who built empires, who tamed frontiers, who crossed oceans, they didn't carry more luck than you. They carried words in their hearts that told them they could endure, that they could rise, that they could finish the trail. And because they believed it, they lived it. That same fire waits inside you, but it won't burn unless you strike the flint every morning. So here, the dare I'll leave you with tonight. Don't just say these words, test them. Live one day at a time as if they were gospel. When doubt knocks, answer with the truth you spoke at dawn. When fear whispers, drown it with the phrase you carved into your soul. And when you lay your head down at night, reckon with yourself, did I live the words I spoke? If the answer yes, you'll sleep like a man who already rich. If the answer no, you'll rise the next morning determined to do better. Either way, you'll keep walking forward. And after 30 days, well, partner, you won't just be speaking a new life, you'll be living it. There's a truth I've carried with me from the old trail, and it fits right into this talk. A cowboy word was his bond. He didn't have contracts, lawyers, or fancy paperwork to back him up. All he had was his tongue and the reputation it built. If he said he'd be at the crossing by dawn, you could bet your saddle on it. If he promised to guard the herd through the night, you knew he'd stand watch until the first light cracked the sky. Your morning words work the same way. They ain't just air passing through your lips. They're a contract with yourself. And if you keep breaking that contract day after day, you'll never trust yourself. That's why most folks stay stuck. Deep down, they know they can't rely on their own word. But when you honor your words, when you say, I am not afraid, and then ride through the storm anyway, you start building faith in yourself. And let me tell you, there's no treasure richer than self-trust. It's rarer than gold, harder to steal than silver. Once you've built it, you'll walk with a steadiness that no man can shake. Now I want you to picture something. Picture the farmer who plants seeds in a barren field. He wakes up each morning, waters the ground, pulls weeds, tends the soil. For weeks, maybe months, there's nothing to see but dirt. Neighbors laugh, say he a fool, say his land dead. But he don't stop. One day, green shoots break the surface, and by harvest, he's standing knee-deep in grain while the doubters scratch their heads. That farmer ain't special, he ain't lucky, he just kept faith with the unseen. That's what you're doing when you repeat these phrases. You're planting seeds in the soil of your mind, watering them daily with belief and protecting them from the weeds of doubt. The harvest don't come in a day, but it comes sure as the sun. Now let's swing back to Buffett for a moment, the man known for numbers, for balance sheets and valuations. But beneath all that arithmetic is something simpler, a mindset. He don't chase every hot idea. He don't panic when storms hit the market. He just keeps to his principles, speaking to himself the same truths day after day, year after year. That's why his wealth compounded like snow rolling down a mountain, because his thoughts compounded first. So when you say these 13 phrases each morning, don't treat them like magic tricks. Treat them like principles carved into stone. They're what'll keep you steady when the herd bolts, when the sky opens, when fear rides in like a bandit at midnight. Saying them ain't the goal, living them is. Now let me leave you with another trail story. There was a rider I once knew, young, strong, full of spirit, but he had no patience. Every horse he touched, he wanted to break in a day. He'd pull the reins too hard, drive the spurs too deep, and sure enough, he'd end up thrown in the dirt, bruised and bitter. Then there was an old hand on the ranch, gray-haired, quiet as dust. He never rushed a horse. Each morning he'd whisper to it, stroke its mane, walk it slow, day after day, steady as sunrise, until one day that horse carried him like it was born for the saddle. Folks asked him how he did it. He'd just smile and say, same way you build yourself, slow, steady. And every day, that's the lesson I'm handing you now. These words you speak each sunrise, don't rush them, don't doubt them. Let them sink in day by day until one morning you'll realize you ain't just speaking them anymore, you're living them. They'll guide your hands in work, your tongue in speech, your choices in hardship. They'll become the quiet current under your life, carrying you forward when you don't feel like rowing. And when the world looks at you 30 days, 60 days, a year from now, they'll see a man they hardly recognize. Not because you found luck, not because you chased a miracle, but because you built yourself brick by brick, word by word, sunrise by sunrise. So tomorrow when the rooster crows or the rain taps against your window, rise up, look yourself in the mirror and speak the words like they're iron, like they're fire, like they're the only compass you've got left, because in truth, they are. Remember this, the trail ahead belongs not to the strongest rider, nor the one with the fanciest horse. It belongs to the rider who never quits saddling up. And these words are the saddle you'll ride to a life of freedom. Now I reckon you might be thinking, what if I slip? What if I forget one morning or two or three? What if the words lose their weight? And that fair? Even the best riders get thrown now and then, but let me tell you something clear as daylight. Falling off don't mean you quit riding, it means you dust off, spit out the dirt, and climb back in the saddle. The strength ain't in never stumbling, it in rising every time you do. See, a man who waits for perfect streaks, perfect seasons, perfect conditions, he'll wait his life away. The ranch don't stop when it rains, the herd don't wait for sunshine. You work with what you've got every single morning, and that's how life turns from chaos into order. So if you lose a day, don't lose your resolve. Step back to the fire, pick up the words, and keep going. Now I want you to hold this thought close. The life you're living right now is not fixed. It ain't written in stone, carved forever. It wet clay, moldable, shapeable, soft in your hands. But clay hardens if you leave it untouched. Most folks wake up, do the same routine, speak the same doubts, live the same fears, and by the time they're gray, their clay hardened into a shape they despise. But you're touching that clay every morning with these words. You're shaping a new vessel, and in 30 days, 60 days, a year, you'll be drinking from a cup you made with your own belief. Warren Buffett once said that chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. That cuts both ways. Bad habits like doubt and fear sneak up quiet until they bind you like shackles. But good habits like speaking these truths build slow and sure until one day you can't imagine a life without them. Those chains become wings carrying you higher than you ever thought you'd fly. So don't underestimate the power of these morning rituals. They're not small, they're not trivial. They're the hammer and chisel with which you're carving out your destiny. Every sunrise is a new chance to etch deeper, to strike cleaner, to shape stronger. Now let's settle back round this fire one last time. Close your eyes, feel the rain on the roof, the crackle of the wood, and imagine yourself 30 days from now. Not dreaming, not hoping, seeing. See the man who stands taller, who walks steadier, whose words carry weight, and whose eyes don't flinch. See the habits in his hands, the confidence in his voice, the peace in his chest. That man is you if you're willing to pay the price of discipline. And the price ain't money, it ain't talent, it ain't some secret nobody else knows. It's the price of speaking words of power every single morning, rain or shine, until those words stop being foreign and start being your flesh and bone. That the only ticket, and it worth more than all the gold dug from the earth. Now I'll leave you with this, partner. Life is short and the trail is long. But the difference between wandering and riding with purpose is what you whisper to yourself when the sun first rises. Don't let the world noise write your story. Don't let fear carve your fate. Take up these words, say them like a warrior, live them like a craftsman, and soon enough, you'll stand as proof that a man can change his whole life, one sunrise, one phrase, one day at a time. So tomorrow and the day after and the day after that, rise early, stand firm, and speak these truths. I am not afraid. I am capable. I am patient. I am persistent. I am building wealth of character and wealth of substance. I trust myself. I choose wisely. I act with courage. I see opportunity where others see despair. I am grateful for what I have while I prepare for more. I live disciplined. I walk steady. I am becoming the man I was meant to be. Speak 'em, believe 'em, live 'em, and the world won't recognize you in 30 days. Not because you wore a mask, but because you finally showed the face you were born with. That the promise, that the contract, and that the fire I leave you with tonight. There is silence in the early morning hours that most folks never hear. The world's still half asleep, the air cool, and the only sound is the wind rustling or the rain tapping like a drummer keeping time. That silence is a gift, a blank page handed to you before the world scrawls its demands across your day. And what you say into that silence matters. It like hollering into a canyon. Your words echo back stronger, shaping the space around you. If you holler fear, fear echoes back. If you holler doubt, doubt answers louder. But if you holler belief, discipline, gratitude, then the canyon of your life rings with those echoes all day long. That's why these 13 phrases aren't small things. They're your holler into the canyon. They're the sound you send into the silence, so the echo you hear through the day strengthens you instead of weakening you. Now let's talk about one of those phrases. I see opportunity where others see despair. That not just optimism. That not whistling in the dark. That a strategy. When the market crashes, when storms roll through, when folks are selling everything they own out of fear, that when fortunes are made by those who keep calm. Buffett done it time and again. When others ran for cover, he saddled up and looked for the chance hiding in the storm. And he didn't just say opportunity as a pretty word, he lived it. He trained his eyes to find it. You can do the same, but it starts with words, because if you wake up saying the world is against me, the system is rigged, I can't win, you'll ride right past a gold mine and never see it. But if you wake up saying, I see opportunity where others see despair, your eyes will notice doors half open, paths half cleared, and chances just waiting for a hand steady enough to grab them. Another phrase, I act with courage. Now, courage ain't the absence of fear. Any rider who faced down a stampede or any investor who watched red numbers bleed across a screen knows fear is real. Courage is riding through it. It planting your boots in the mud, looking fear in the eye, and saying, you may ride alongside me, but you don't hold my reins. Saying that phrase each morning don't mean you'll never feel fear. It means when fear shows up, you'll remember who riding the horse. It won't be fear pulling the straps, it'll be you. And let's take one more. I am grateful for what I have while I prepare for more. That a balance few men ever strike. Most folks either live in restless hunger, never satisfied, or they sit in lazy comfort, never stretching. But gratitude without ambition is stagnation, and ambition without gratitude is misery. You want both. To look at your life, tip your hat and say thank you. Then turn toward the horizon and say, now let ride for more. These phrases, each one a tool. Alone they might feel small, but strung together, repeated each morning, they forge a man sharper than a blade, steadier than a post, tougher than a storm. Now let me paint you a picture. Imagine two men, same age, same town, same work. One wakes up, grumbles about the weather, curses his job, mutters about how nothing ever changes. The other wakes, speaks these 13 phrases, steps out the door with his chest lifted. 1 year later, they don't even look like the same breed of man. One bent and bitter, the other strong and steady. What changed? Not fate, not luck, not birth, just words. Words repeated, words lived. So tomorrow, when you stand in front of that mirror, don't just whisper, don't just mumble. Say the words with weight. Let your voice carry like a rider calling to his herd across the valley. Let yourself hear the echo. And then walk out the door like you're already the man those words describe. Remember, this ain't entertainment. This ain't background noise. This is you reforging yourself one sunrise at a time. And when the trail gets long, when the rain don't quit, when the doubts come riding hard, these words will be the only fire you need to keep going.